Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by REC Comics and Collectibles. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me, as always,
Erik.
Erik!
What's up, man?
If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see we have moderately priced tuna and regularly priced David, but made in America, both, all right? Special guests and friends of the show, Dave and Jordan. Welcome. We are filming from our new location, a little REC Comics tease for you. All we have is just these like 26 toys, okay? So just come check that out. It's gonna be awesome, okay? We would have been coming back from Comic-Con yesterday. Yet another summer without a San Diego Comic-Con, and we were feeling a tad nostalgic. And we want to get together, talk about the show, talk about what we would have liked to have seen at the con. And things that we have fond memories of, that we miss, and that we can't wait to see next year. Jordan. All right. Dave, welcome. Been a while since you've been on the show. Was the last one the Butterbeer episode?
I don't know. I don't remember,
okay.
Actually. It might have
been.
Maybe made too strong of a Butterbeer.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been a while. I'm
Yeah.
glad to be back, and I'm glad to be talking about Comic-Con. This is my therapy anyway.
Yes.
We've missed it for the past 2 years.
Yes, I know.
Damn COVID.
I know. And cons are starting to happen all over the country. There was a Torpedo Con actually this past weekend, which I think is a hard flex by Torpedo Comics. They have a great booth at San Diego every year. The owner is the drummer from System of a Down, John Dolmayan, I think is how you say it. And I didn't even know about it until like people were posting pictures at Torpedo Con. But literally his best man, I think, was Jim Lee. So Jim Lee was there signing. Tons of people on Instagram went. I think it was in California. Because they do also have an Anaheim location, I believe, for Torpedo. But yeah, so they had a 3-day con, and it looked great. It made me so jealous. It looked so familiar, but it looked a little chill, obviously, because it's not San Diego. But I'm bumming hard. Every year I'm always like, this is my last con, guys, and Dave's like, yeah, okay. And I think I've been saying that for like at least 6 years, but I've been fiending for San Diego, and let's just have some good memories, guys. Let's just have some good memories. What are you missing?
Oh man, the road trip.
The road trip.
The road trip is one of the highlights of actually going to the con.
Yeah.
And we didn't originally want to do that.
Yeah.
We used to fly out because we wanted to maximize our time at the con, but
Yeah.
then we wanted to go cheap one year, and we discovered that it was actually super fun to get into a car, smell it up, eat some In-N-Out, and just joke around, right?
Yeah.
So, and you came with us that first year, right?
Yeah, it was the three of us.
Was it
that
15?
drove.
2015 we did it the first year, I think?
I'm terrible with that
I
stuff.
think it was.
Yeah. We did do. I do remember my road trip memory. It was we were fully packed, load for bear, on that trip with a rental car, I think. And we're coming back. I think at this point we were in Nevada still, super dark. Casey was driving, and it's traffic. You can see kind of this long stream of cars slowing down, seemingly out of nowhere at first. Then we kind of go around this corner, and we see this fire, and this trailer was burning on the side of the road. And we got video of it.
Yeah.
And because I can hear you saying, Casey, you don't get to have fun. You're driving, you know. And like right as we're passing, because all of our windows are down, you can feel the heat, and there was some like minor explosion. Yeah. Because then we all like freaked out. I think I dropped the phone or something. And like get down, shots fired. And that was just a great because when you go back from a vacation, when you return home, it's sort of like that it's kind of done. Like I've left San Diego, I've left wherever I've gone for the trip. I'm heading back home. It kind of for me, a lot of times it doesn't feel like the trip back home is part of the trip.
Yeah.
It kind of feels more like a chore. But that was just a fun thing, just like on the tail end of that trip that year.
Yeah, it was like, for me, that was almost a cherry that year, because that is so funny. We got 2 different camera angles on it. The heat was so intense. Like, I was having fun until I wasn't. And it was very much a, like, Breaking Bad style, like, camper almost, just on fire in the middle of the desert. So we can make our own conclusions there. Somebody was heavily cosplaying on the way back, all right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. of our first year, I think I just remember where we tried to just do it all in one sitting, and then we were gonna sleep in the car. And like, I'm such a bougie sleeper. I need lots of pillows. I need it cold. It's too much. And I was just going insane. We pulled over on this like truck stop, and we were just gonna sleep in the car. I was like, guys, I don't care where we go. I will pay for this. We need to get into a room. And we found a room in San Bernardino.
Barstow, just across the border.
And yeah, it was. We got like one room, one bed, and we all laid in it in like a weird.
We laid perpendicular.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. And it was like we were like, oh, let's get like 4 hours of sleep. Didn't make sense. We could have slept in because we couldn't even check. Couldn't even check into our hotel until like 3 or 4. But from Barstow, we were what?
About 3 hours. Yeah.
So we got up early. We went, and then we were just kind of like walking around. Thankfully, Dave did ask him if we could check in early because we needed it. We all needed our own bed. We all needed a good shower, and not the awkward one where we also got in the shower perpendicular. Right?
Was that the same hotel? We went in the bathroom. There was the one bathroom. It was, I can't remember if it was coming or going. It wasn't that one. Yeah, but I do remember what we found in the hotel room.
And I have a photo of that somewhere too.
Okay.
Where, like, we were
St. George, I believe.
Utah.
Utah. Right. It was Utah.
Yeah,
it was
Utah.
Last place you would expect to find this.
Yeah, I don't remember the chain, and because hey, who knows who could be a sponsor one day. But we were in the bathroom, and I don't know why I looked, and I looked in the vent up in the ceiling, and then I saw something orange, and it was totally a syringe. And it's like, oh, this is like a dead drop or something, or somebody was using and then put that syringe in there real quick. Regardless, super gross.
Yeah, I have no medical background.
Weird.
No medical background, but I can tell you that there is very few medical reasons to put a syringe in the bathroom vent of a motel in the middle of Utah. If that happens to be you, consult your doctor. But yeah, super weird. And we're just like, because you don't want to touch it. And then it's like, you don't want to tell somebody because then the police come and ask questions.
Yeah.
But then it's like, if you don't tell someone and they find it and they're like, hey, you stayed in this room.
Yeah.
So there's this whole like, which is the better time to be brought in for questioning?
Yeah. I found it because I was going to put my needle in there, and and I just didn't want it to be awkward. I just didn't want it to be awkward.
Terrible, and no turn down service. Like
kids don't do drugs. Adults do what you want. It's a free country. Eric, you only got to take the majestic ride with us once, and we were looking forward to a second. And we do have tickets for next year.
Yeah.
Delta variant be damned. All right. And what is a very memorable moment for you?
I'm just going on the road trips.
Yeah,
the best part.
Yeah, so that is the best part.
I'd say so.
I think so too. Like, as much as I enjoy the con, we're spending all kinds of money. I love to eat in San Diego. I think we've dedicated an entire show to eating in San Diego. If we're not, we're going to do it. But yeah, that road trip is ridiculous because even though we see the same things. And some of our conversations, there's like a Venn diagram of these things that overlap. But it's cool because like while I think we're very fortunate that we get to pal around and do stuff like this, nobody else I know in their 30s, especially married guys, their wives are like, yeah, go ahead and go road trip to Vegas and then to San Diego with your friends, So it's a unique experience even though we do similar things each way.
Right.
I love the conversations, the arguments, the somebody gets picked on the whole time. Jordan's inner thigh slaps.
Oh my gosh, super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That made for like the longest car ride that one year. Oh my gosh.
Well, you gotta have that tough skin, all right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you. Now, am I the only one that's doing it? Yeah, I'm trying to help you for me. Okay?
Yeah. The worst part is you were checking into the hotel and he'll be like, I'm tying my shoe. Yeah, and
because you don't grow up, kids. All right, don't let the man get you down. Okay. I think for you though, and I wish I would have got it on film. However, it's very Eric that I didn't. It's when you got to meet Frank Miller.
Yeah.
In our hotel. That was awesome. We kind of like willed that into existence. We were talking about it just minutes before, and I was so happy for you because he said before the trip,
the person I really wanted to meet.
Yeah, if you could meet one person at the con, you'd like to meet Frank Miller, and it happened. And I was like, so like watching it. It's one of those things where like you see like the pictures of the people watching fireworks and all the kids are recording it and the old lady's just enjoying it. Like, I was the old lady. But I should have been recording it because I don't have that memory for Erik forever. And if he ever turns on me, I'm going to tell people he's lying, okay? And they're going to believe me.
Oh, really? That sounds fantastic. I bet, any reasonable person would have gotten a picture.
Yeah, definition of Pixar didn't happen. But yeah, I was just blown away because I was like, wow, I didn't think that was going to happen for you. And just like when I've taken your dad to the con a few times, just him being able to like meet certain people. He got to meet Joss Whedon. Before like a year before Avengers was even announced. So but that's like a cool memory for him. I think he got to meet some artists that he really liked, like Neil Adams and stuff like that. But it's just like being able to create those things. Dave is the king of meeting celebrities and getting photos with them and everything like that. Jordan's the king of, I was tying my shoe and somebody bumped into me with their coffee and it was Stephen Lang.
Yeah, I had weird run-ins with Stephen Lang, the hero of Avatar.
Yeah.
Morgan Spurlock, two guys from The Big Bang Theory. I didn't care for the alien-looking guy. But I recognize the kid from Christmas Vacation. I don't watch the show. Yeah. Everyone assumes I watch it. I've never sat through one Big Bang Theory.
Dude, I can't.
I can't.
Or Seinfeld.
Someone else's, not mine.
Yeah. Yeah, and every time I tell people about I'm opening a comic shop, like, I love Big Bang Theory. I'm like,
I'm like, cool.
I've never
Let me
really
point you to literally any other comic book.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. Dave can almost guarantee at least 5 picture minimum, I think, with celebrities.
True.
It's funny. It's one of those things. He hunts for them, but then as soon as he's like, you know what, I'm done. Then they find him. It's like he's got to put in a little bit of sweat, and then that reservoir just kind of opens.
There's one celebrity that I can never escape. I don't even want to be near. Breckenmeyer.
Breckenmeyer, that's your boy.
That son of a bitch.
Clueless.
He's always smoking a cigarette, and he's always finding his way around my sphere of influence.
Well, you hang out,
and I don't get it.
You hang out by that Subway dumpster way more than you should, okay?
He's out there taking out the trash.
No disrespect for his body of work, but it's just I'm not trying to meet him, and I don't know why the universe is trying to pawn him off on me.
Yeah, man. If this was 2000 to late 2001, I would be really jealous.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's fun. Like, what's funny about the con is that so many people are there, and like you do have like those times where it's like, this person's coming from a panel and they're walking through, or they're walking, through the floor because they're going up to the 20th Century Fox thing or whatever, you know. But then there was the night, I think we were walking from our hotel to go into the gas lamp. We look over and there's this guy smoking a cigar, and just kind of like look over and kind of like, what's up? And it was Thomas Jane.
Hey.
And it's like, all right, Thomas Jane, and just kind of like some of those weird little things where it's like, it's cool, it's kind of relaxed. I get a lot stressed out during the day because the crowds are so dense,
massive,
and it's so busy. But then in the evening, like we were in the gas lamp, we were crossing the street and saw he was on Lost. He played Nestor Carbonell, maybe.
Oh, that's what you can remember.
No, he was the mayor in The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. And also Batmanuel.
And Batmanuel.
Yes.
So like we saw him one year. There was just like the occasional thing when I was doing that 24-hour in line stint. We met.
You're king. I could never do it. I have a hard time with my 4-hour shift when we break it up.
But Danielle Panabaker?
Yeah, Danielle Panabaker, that was super fun from Flash.
Yeah, from Flash. She was having a party at our hotel, actually. It was crossing the street, and we were, at that point, we were camping out on the grass area with the lions, and we were on like one of the curves with the sidewalks. Yeah. And she just came rolling up, had a chat. She probably stuck around for like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
People talking.
We had like a conversation.
Like she was like, what are you guys here for? And like we were able to like, it wasn't like a hey, what's up kind of thing. It was like she came over and started asking questions. That was the same night that Zack Snyder rolled up in the Batmobile past Petco Park.
That was great.
For Batman vs Superman, throwing out the
sandwiches and shirts.
Yeah, it's just like, it was just one of those things where it's like this crazy stuff in this little stretch of time, and you don't go looking for it, it finds you.
That's
Well, those days are over too, though, right?
Yeah,
even when there wasn't COVID, they were already transitioning away because they didn't want people in line.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst things for them to have to manage was hundreds of thousands of people waiting in line for the chance to maybe get into Hall H or some of these other halls.
Yeah.
But now with COVID and what they were doing prior, I don't think you're going to ever experience those kind of scenarios again.
I don't think we're going to experience that. I think that rando pictures with the celebrities is going to be much harder.
Yeah.
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 So,
and I think you're going to start, if we get them, they're going to be your more C-lister, maybe even D-lister type.
And we can talk a little bit about kind of like where the con is heading, because it seems like it's hard to tell like during the pandemic what's going to continue and stuff. It seems like Marvel with Disney is pretty well set with what they're doing. DC enjoyed a lot of success with their little fandom experience, and whether or not they try to do something that aligns with Comic-Con or not in the future, I remember years ago I remember saying like I was like I could absolutely see in their business model like almost like a pay-per-view subscription where you actually get the live stream of the panels, and so there's a way to monetize that. And so you've got 200,000 people in San Diego. We got 3 million people worldwide. Honestly though, like last year when they started doing the Comic-Con at home stuff, like I was kind of watching it. I was watching some of the hashtags. This year, I was like, it happened. Yeah. Because it seems like now it's a lot of smaller scale projects and a lot of TV.
Oh yeah.
And it's almost like it's become TV centric to the point now where it's like I don't really follow any shows that go to the con. So if I were to go there, I would have the showroom floor, I'd have the gas lab experience. But in terms of like panels and stuff, it used to be hard because it's like I want to do this in Ballroom 20, but I want to do this in Hall Room in Hall H. Yeah. And I got to be in Hall H all day to be there at night. It's sort of like, man, maybe it'd be a little bit easier to stroll through.
And your movie studios aren't going to be spending the same amount of money they were on marketing. I mean, we didn't even, it's unfortunate because I think we had left, but we could have done it, where J.J. Abrams, right? Yeah. He did his whole Star Wars thing, like, hey, everybody from Hall H, let's go to the orchestra, and you can get in for free, have a great show, and by the way, here's some like cool
they gave away the
lightsaber was a ticket. And then there were fireworks, I think, after that too.
Yeah, because we were in line and we were like, what are those fireworks for? And then we found out later that it was all
I just don't think movie studios are going to pay that kind of money in the market anymore.
I think, okay, let's play slightly a little devil's advocate here. What if COVID, we're seeing it in theaters right now where the attendance is down. I mean, Black Widow, I think, underperformed to what the hope was, and obviously COVID's going to play a part to that. But if you're going to try to get people back out into theaters, because as many as the naysayers are and the people who don't care, there's still a large part of the population that does. Yeah. And we're seeing it in these group forums. Right. I'm curious to see what another year brings. Maybe everything's fine, everything's dandy, but to your point, they will use this as a way to limit things, to restrict lines, to restrict people gathering. They will use it to their advantage, and especially it being in California.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they went to some sort of randomization type system where if you want to get into Hall H, you have to like essentially enter a lottery. Right. And then you have sort of an assigned seat
it's like getting figures, this is your window when you can be in Hall H, or something.
My question is, Hall H, is it even worth it? We were asking this question, even before COVID, because studios, they hated the leaks, that were coming from Hall H, and so they would release things pretty much right as the panel was going, or they would avoid Hall H altogether. So I'm wondering if it's even worth, doing it. I think the con was already going through a change, a transition anyway. But with COVID, I think it's just accelerated to this point, and I think it's not going to be the con that I'm used to. It's probably going to be more akin to a con that you were used to before I.
It was like first 2 years that I went.
Yeah, where you could just walk in and buy a ticket, and it wasn't sold out. And with, of course, this past decade, where you had major blockbuster films from Marvel, for instance, you had everyone and their mom wanting to go to Comic-Con, and so it was like I'm amazed that we were able to go for about a decade. Yeah, I mean, we were able to get tickets year after year after year.
Well, and they put so many obviously it skews towards the superhero, the science fiction, the fantasy, and of course it's a fantasy story. But like Twilight was the big opening eye for me, where it was like half of Hall H for those soccer moms. Yeah, those Twilight moms. And it's like, they're not the demographic that would go to a con, but they're the demographic that would go to a con for Twilight.
Yeah.
And so but I mean, and David had a fantastic point about what the studios are releasing, because in the last few years, when I haven't gone to the con, everything I'm seeing, like, oh, they're going to be sharing this, it's then instantly online. Trailers, right. So maybe not like a early test footage scene or something, but it's just, they were using that buzz to be like, if we're trending on social media, we have this big panel going, we're going to have the trailer debut at Comic-Con, we're going to have a panel, but then immediately it's Comic-Con, the trailer, the Justice League trailer dropped that way, all these things started hitting, and it was like, wow, so if that's what I'm going for, do I need to still go? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things at Comic-Con to go for that aren't those things, sure. But for some people like me that really skew towards the movie side, there is kind of that, okay, is the financial cost, which has only been going in one direction, the cost, the time cost, because 24 hours in line for Hall H, and now you don't always have to do that, but that was like I want to guarantee I can get into Hall H, and I did. But, is it worth all of that? Yeah. I mean, but for me, it would depend on what studios are coming and what they're bringing, for me.
I mean, I'm sort of sad to see that transition, because there's a lot of cool stuff that you could experience in Hall H. Right? Yeah. I mean, some of the fondest memories I have were in Hall H with all of us. I mean, we were all suffering through.
Oh God!
I mean, 6,000 people. There is a Comic-Con funk.
$10 nachos. The stabbing.
There was a stabbing, which we should talk about.
Yeah.
But no, I remember Roman and I. We were just hanging out. I think they were about to announce Batman vs Superman. Of course, no one knew about that. Yeah. Right. And we were kind of just waiting for Zack Snyder to come out with
Man of Steel
he came out with Martian Manhunter. What's his name?
Oh, really? Yeah.
We didn't know he was Martian Manhunter at the time, right?
This was General Lennox.
Right. Yeah. But we were waiting, and there were some people there, and we were quoting like Simpsons, and this other guy overheard us, and he finished it for us. It was that one episode where they were playing Pictionary, and he was trying to and he finished it for us. We were quoting it. I mean, those kind of experiences, you really can only have that at Comic-Con in that scenario. Yeah. And then, of course, the exclusive footage for Batman vs Superman came out, and the whole crowd went nuts. So there's this whole atmosphere that I think is somewhat magical, and that's one of the things I'm worried about for the theater industry, because I loved going to opening nights, or at least opening weekend, and watching films that you knew were going to be blockbuster hits, like the Avengers Endgame. I was actually watching when Cap picks up Thor's hammer. Mm-hmm. I remember the pop, the audience pop, and
the energy. And
if you don't have that anymore, then it takes away from the experience that at least we all grew up on.
Yeah. I think that the movie studios have this entire thing about like leaked footage wrong. Anytime you've ever seen anything leaked, how much have you looked for a better version of it? It's like, let the leaks happen, because they're not going to be as good. Like, make your plan should be to make the draw to get to San Diego, so that the money that you're putting into this then reaps, you're reaping what you sow in a positive way. And I never understood that, where it's like, oh, we got to put everything out. Then it's like, why would anybody want to go? Like, there are gigantic, unhealthy people who this is their exercise, man. Don't give them a reason to stay home, okay?
Yeah.
When you see those big guys there, and they're hustling it, and it's hot, and they just got so many camel packs on, that's a lot of respect.
And we know a lot about that. Roman and I, when Rob Liefeld was doing his scavenger hunts, we were always so close to capturing sketches that he would release, but some fat guy would just be in the vicinity, and we would be unlucky. Even though we were in better shape and we could outrun most of these guys.
Yeah, this guy was just closer.
He was just closer. I remember I was so close to one of the sketches, and I was literally 20 feet away from it. And then I'm running like, yeah, I'm going to get it. And this fat dude looks at his phone, and he starts looking around like, oh my God, and he gets it before I do.
Yeah.
It was one of the worst experiences I've ever seen in my life, and I hope that guy gets a heart attack.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So bitter.
Wow.
So bitter. We were at the very end of the trolley station, and picture comes up where what Rob and his family would do. They would do a Deadpool or X-Force sketch by Rob Liefeld. put it someplace in San Diego, take a photo, and just based on your knowledge of San Diego, you have to find out where this picture is. So we're running across town, running everywhere, and like I'm trying to get to this one, and I jump on the tracks, and I'm just booking it down the tracks, and I get so close that I'm in the photo of the guy who's getting it. I'm in the background, like I look like something out of like Quantum Leap or something.
I mean, we
God,
got
that's great.
We got ours.
ours.
I mean, I think Roman got the first one ever.
I got the first one ever 2 years in a row. So like the first one ever, yes, and then when he did it again, I got the first one that year too.
Right.
Yeah, it's wild.
So we won. Yeah, I mean, we won some sketches, but yeah, there are a lot of unhealthy people, and their only exercise they're really getting is at the con.
But if you're like gonna make it so they can just watch everything, like don't do that.
Right.
Like
but the stabbing, I don't want to forget about that.
Yeah,
I wasn't there for that year.
Yeah,
but
so
I love
that year, Warner Brothers, their little goodie bag that some people had
was a knife.
It was yeah, exactly. It was Saw 4. It was these white T-shirts that had Harry Potter. Wanted because it was for the Deathly Hallows, and they were like marketing when Harry and them are on the run. And there was this commotion, and it was like maybe
I would describe it as a commotion.
it was a commotion,
right?
20 rows up from us or so.
Oh, if that.
Yeah, I mean,
closer.
enough that like you could see like the faces of the people in there.
Yeah.
There was an altercation regarding safe seats, and I don't know if it was a pen or a pencil.
Yeah.
I think it was a pen. Ended up cutting the like eyebrow forehead of a guy. Someone like went at him like that.
Yeah.
And the reason I know the Harry Potter shirt was part of the mix is because when the guy came walking around, when like security was over there and they were like helping him, and they didn't have like an EMT like right there. I think they were getting him to like someone to help him. He was pressing that T-shirt against his head.
Oh, jeez.
Which I found super ironic.
Yeah.
That
makes a Horcrux for sure.
Oh, yes. And now that guy, I hope he didn't wash it. I hope he's, it's like his game jersey.
Yeah.
He's got the blood. And he's like, hey, you like the movie with the guy with the scar on his forehead? Well, let me tell you about this one.
Yeah. It's like,
there you go.
But there are good memories too, because we were there when
Robert... Well, that is a good memory.
Yes, but other good memories that don't involve like getting maimed.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.'s intro.
Danced,
Iron Man 2, I was going to mention that.
He danced through the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, came out from the back, walked through, he had the gauntlet on, just playing the crowd in the audience.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think we're going to get those kind of experiences anymore.
No. Tom Hiddleston comes out as Loki.
As Loki,
right.
And takes over and just like makes us kneel and like sets up a clip and then just leaves. Like he wasn't there for any other reason, but to come out dressed fully as Loki, it was awesome.
Yeah, and he's like super serious. And you hear some guy's like, my wife wants to marry or whatever, and you just see him like crack. Like a little bit.
And then there's someone like Hugh Jackman. He shows up for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right? He shows
Yeah, he like brought that one year he brought Wolverine footage from X-Men Origins Wolverine. Well, but it wasn't on the docket. It wasn't scheduled. He had literally like flown from Australia. Was like, they gave me 15 minutes. I want to show you this. He's like, real quick, where's Len Wein? And he was like, thank you so much. Like, I have a career because of you. The guy created Wolverine. But awesome stuff like that. Were you there for the Scott Pilgrim panel?
No, I wasn't there.
Scott Pilgrim was awesome. Edgar Wright's people, they handed out buttons. They handed out the buttons, and they were all like the 8-bit characters. But if you got a 1-up with Scott's head, like in the movie and in the book, he was like, all right, anybody who got white ones, that's your ticket. We're going to go watch the movie. And this was like 6 weeks before the movie came out. And I was like, but I got Knives Cho, and I got... I think I might have also got Scott, but not the 1-up.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Hall H stuff just super cool. It like really feeds off that energy, where it's like, oh my gosh, like the excitement and the crowd, and you'll see a stranger and you'll just like high five them. Yeah. Like you're pumped up. Cool. You see a shirt you recognize or something and stuff. I mean, all that energy stuff, super cool. Definitely a big part of the trip.
It's not all fun and games though, because there are long stretches where you have to get through some boring panels, and there are obnoxious people who go ask questions, and we've seen them year after year, and somehow they feel like they're doing it right, and they go back up, and these people let them ask questions still.
I'm gonna pull from a far back issue here. Harrison Ford's first Comic-Con appearance. We were there for it, but do you remember what the movie was?
Cowboys and Aliens.
Cowboys and Aliens, yeah. And it's just like, man, That's the one?
Dude, Patrick Stewart, his first year when he got that panel.
Yes.
He was there not for X-Men, not for anything Star Trek. His first year at San Diego Comic-Con was because he voiced the Wizard.
Yeah.
In a weird animated Wizard of Oz.
CGI animated sequel to The Wizard of Oz.
Which I
don't know if it ever got a theatrical release.
I don't think it did. I'd never seen it.
Yeah, and I remember distinctly this fan who was dressed as like Goku from Dragon Ball Z.
That's right.
He tried quoting from American Dad.
Yeah.
But no one else understood that. They thought he was being inappropriate.
Which he was, because it is technically a kids panel.
Right.
But he quoted an American Dad reference to. I don't know, guys. It was dirty. It was funny, and he was asked to leave.
He was escorted out.
Yes.
Like they made him leave.
Did Patrick Stewart get the reference?
No,
or
he didn't.
I don't even know. I don't know if you heard it.
Yeah, he didn't hear it.
I know the sun's getting low, but Dave, can you tell us the story about the Val Kilmer panel?
Sure. Yeah. So it was. I can't remember the movie, but it was with Francis Ford Coppola.
It was Twixt, I believe, is what it was called. Yeah, because they had remember the masks.
That's right. It was Twixt. Right. Yeah. So no one was asking Val Kilmer any questions,
which is bananas.
Yeah,
to
that was
us.
absolutely
that was
insane.
crazy to me. So I go up there, and they ask me, what's your? Because they want to screen questions. It makes sense, right?
Except for
after
Goku.
Goku. Can't catch them all, I guess. But I said I wanted to ask Val Kilmer a question, and they were like, "Great," because no one's asking him questions. So they put me to the front of the line. Which, by the way, if you get in line, there's no guarantee you can ask a question because there's like 6,000 people. Half of them want to ask a question depending on the panel.
And if you ask Kevin Smith one question, that's he's gonna eat up all the time with that.
Right. So anyway, I asked him just a simple question. What was it like to work with such an iconic director? Right. But as I'm asking the question, I have a sign. I have a sign that I slowly move up. And if you don't know about Hall H, they have a camera on not only the panel, but for the participants who are asking questions, they have a camera on that person. And so I knew that going into it. And so I lifted up my sign and said, "Will you be my Huckleberry?" A reference from Tombstone. And everyone in the audience, when they saw that, they thought it was great. Yeah. And they cheered and whatnot. Although I don't know if Val Kilmer actually saw what we were doing.
He did. Somebody read it to him.
Okay.
Yeah. He was like, "What does it say?" And then they read it. They said it. And he was like, Right. He kind of gave a chuckle.
Right. I mean, it was a good little joke that I was able to insert into my question, but it was a serious question that he still got to answer. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a waste of time.
It was efficient.
It wasn't a waste of time. It wasn't some Joker Goku trying to make a joke. Joku. Right? I mean, I guess if you're going to ask a question, to a panel, don't try so hard. Just be yourself. Try to be funny if you can. If you can't, just ask a serious question.
And every now and then, they throw a curveball where they get somebody in line having someone dressed up in a really cheap Spider-Man costume asking a question, pull off, it's Andrew Garfield. Yeah. It was such a cool reveal. He had a written statement. His hands were shaking because he was telling the story about being bullied as a kid and loving superheroes and stuff, and having this chance that was for the Amazing Spider-Man panel and stuff. Just so cool to be awesome, or jump that, or they'll do a panel and be like, "Oh, we're gonna take a question," and then all of a sudden the camera cuts and it's one of the co-stars, or it's
Bill Paxton for some reason.
Exactly.
In fact, I remember that wasn't Bill Paxton just hanging out.
Yeah, he was there at the con with his daughter, and Tom Cruise was like,
"Come on up."
Yeah, come up. You're not in this movie, but we go way back, brother. It was so funny. And it was cool.
And then remember that one guy who was on his shirt, "I just want to get a picture with
Steven Spielberg."
Steven Spielberg and Jackson. For Tintin, it was Peter Jackson and Steven Spielberg, and I think Jackson.
Do you remember that was Steven Spielberg's first year at the con too?
Right, and Jackson took the picture, and he's like, "This is the most directed photo that's ever been." Because he's like, "Are you in the frame?" Yeah. That was a great moment.
That was great, and
I wasn't at all jealous.
I know. I mean, good for that guy for having the shirt, being at the panel.
It's all about the
getting in line.
It's all about the prep.
I mean, that probably made his
life.
Yeah,
it makes your life. If you go through it was literally a small paragraph, but again, you're blown up on the big screen, and it said something to the effect of, "Steven Spielberg is my favorite director. His movies changed my life. It would mean the world to me if he would take a photo with me." But he didn't point out his shirt. He asked his question, and Spielberg read it, and that was great, man. And those types of things. Like I said, we've all got to meet somebody who was iconic to us, whether, it was, Stephen Lang.
No, Danny Pudi from Community. First celebrity I ever met. I go down to the bar after checking into our hotel, and he's like standing there. Yeah. I'm like, hey, are you from Community? And he's like, yes, I am. Yeah. And I was like, can I get a picture? And he's like, absolutely. Yeah. And it was super cool, super chill guy.
Yeah, just an awesome time. I'm excited for what the future holds. I'm worried, but at least for us, like, we kind of haven't been doing the panels for a couple of years. And so if they change that situation, like, it doesn't really affect us. I'm just wondering what's going to affect us. Like, what's going to mess up our con experience.
I mean, I'm kind of like, so what's great is we're already guaranteed tickets. Right?
Yes.
So, and for those of you who don't understand the con, that's like about half the stress is trying to compete for the tickets, because there's only 50,000 or so tickets that are actually up for grabs for general attendance.
Yeah, for Gen, yeah.
And so you have millions of people that want it, and so we develop a system to try and increase our odds, and we've been lucky enough to actually get tickets one way or the other. But now that that's taken off the table, all we have to worry about are hotel accommodations. Which I think is going to be easier, because it's not going to be the same con anymore. Which I just don't see how it can be. Yeah. But what I'm most interested about is how they're going to change the Hall H. What are they going to put in Hall H? Obviously, they'll put TV stuff in there. Yeah. But what movies are going to be there? And I wonder if there's going to be the same sort of enthusiasm for Hall H there has been in the past. And maybe if it's not as busy as we are familiar with, maybe we could just walk in one day and enjoy what we used to. We did certainly do it with Kevin Smith when he's around.
What I think some of the positive, depending on your point of view, positive and negative backlash is that, again, Black Widow underperformed by even the lower standards. All of this next Phase 4 stuff a lot of it's brand new. Yeah. I think
kind of risky.
It's a slate of Guardians.
Eternals.
Yeah. It's a slate of we've never done this before. How do we do this? I think the con would have been great this year to kind of help set these things up, because if these things hit, then I think Marvel it will be comfortable skipping more of them, if at all, because also we have D23 that comes out.
Right. Yeah.
So, a month, 6 weeks later, Disney does their own expo, and that affects what's going on. I think the DC fandom overperformed given the circumstances and the people who were in charge of that. It's my understanding they're all fired. They were all fired after that. So
well, and also too, Warner Brothers has a ton of properties that are not specifically comic related that they can bring to a con that gets an audience and
they benefit more from it than a Marvel Disney does.
Yeah.
But I think now that these with how well Loki finished up, obviously WandaVision is a big hit. That might be. They focus on that. Like, okay, they want to get Disney Plus subscribers. Yeah. Granted, probably everybody at San Diego Comic-Con is a Disney Plus subscriber. Yeah. But maybe because their shows are still somewhat new and they're going to be doing She-Hulk and Moon Knight and whatever, maybe they'll focus more on that. Like, so maybe the Marvel panel will be less MCU film, more MCU television.
Yeah. Or MCU universe.
Yeah.
Because they're even getting into like the podcast game or something. Like they're kind of trying to like start up, like approaching these different avenues, and that's they have a fan base that's there.
Well, as much as I love hunting the celebrities, I mean, I do want to experience a con that you've experienced.
So dark. Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
I will find.
As much as I love purging the celebrities.
Yeah, is this an Ice-T movie?
If you see a celebrity, you get a picture. They owe you. I guarantee it. Anyway. I want to experience what you've experienced when there's a much more relaxed Comic-Con where you're not having to rush around and do things. One of the things that I enjoy the most is the showroom floor. And some of these other panels that are not TV or even movie related. There's actually a lot of interesting stuff. I remember going to a panel with you with, I can't remember the comic book artist that we went and we just sat down.
For Art Adams, Adam Hughes.
Adam Hughes, yeah. It was great. He was drawing Catwoman, in fact.
Yeah.
He was. And he was telling us about his life, about how his process works, all that. And
it was like a 45-minute podcast about him.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I thought that was super interesting, and it wasn't terribly hard to get into. But the showroom floor is also fun. You have all these different vendors. You have all these different experiences. Obviously, you have the studios, like the big, WB, Marvel. They, even though they skip Hall H, they still have their section where you can experience cool things. Those are great. And recently, before COVID, I was looking for artists because I wanna start buying personalized sketches and what have you. That's cool stuff that we've missed out on for the past 2 years. And I'm glad that some of the smaller cons are, now starting to get some love, especially with Comic-Con. San Diego anyway being canceled for the past 2 years, but New York is coming back online. So, and I think they're gonna do. Did they do WonderCon? I can't.
They didn't do WonderCon.
Well, I know that's coming back. I read something that's coming back. So it's only.
Is that Anaheim?
Yeah. WonderCon, is usually in the spring.
Right. So, but 2022
is gonna be lit. Homie.
It's got to be. They're coming back. I don't see how they can survive if they don't.
No.
Because I remember reading something that they're really struggling because the past 2 years they haven't had the kind of income that they've had traditionally. So I'm looking forward to 2022, and I kind of hope that the studios aren't emphasizing too much. I want a laid back con, not one where I'm having to run around and worry about things.
What I can tell you is, if you're looking for that, like my first year's con experience, preview night. How preview night is now, where it's very chill compared to the Thursday. That's how the con was, with the exception of preview night. Preview night was terrible because they just sold as many tickets as they wanted for preview night, and it would be
like the
shoulder to shoulder. Mm-hmm. So like my first year of the con, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday was very much how the preview night is, maybe just a tad busier, but then it just went exponentially, Right. So I'm excited. And the only thing that'll bum me out, and I know it's like, how can you practice? But if it doesn't run smoothly with whatever changes they do, like, I'll be irritated. It's like, you guys have had 2 years to dry run this. To figure out, and again, implementing is a completely different thing, but it just needs to go because it had been running as smooth as it can. Like we notice it every year. Like, what gets better? It is more 2 steps forward, 1 step back, as opposed to they're not losing any ground, but they're also, it's like, why you guys had this right last year? Why did you change this? So I do think it's great that they just closed those 2 streets off now completely, where you can't even drive in there between like the con times now.
It certainly creates more space. They're also dispersing some of the outdoor experiences,
which is cool.
Different areas. I mean, that's there's like a whole con
out. AT&T store that one year.
Yeah, there's a whole con outside of the con. Yeah. Right. I mean, if you it forces you to explore the gas lamp and other areas surrounding the convention center, and that's, I think, a really good. I hope they continue that.
Yeah.
I hope they continue having the celebrities of yesteryear that we always go up and we feel bad for, and we're never willing to pay $40 for a picture with.
Yeah. And it's like, it's because you can never. That's the thing. You can never find them though. That's like if you're looking for them, you can't find them. You have to stumble upon them again, and they're in that one hallway where like nearly all of the bulbs are burnt out, and like it used to be the janitor's closet, but that guy got promoted, so. It's never the good side of the con.
Right.
I don't understand the movie studios, guys. Listen to me. Listen to your boy Roman. There's no reason you're not timing your anniversary Blu-ray releases with Comic-Con. You do a 500 print run of Indiana Jones box set that you can only, with artwork, you can only get at the con, or some exclusive you can only get at the con. And then you repackage it in different packaging for the masses for, whatever it is you're going to do. Like, I'm surprised at how few exclusives there are from films.
Right.
It's the perfect thing to do.
Did you, the Road Cut? Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Did they have an exclusive?
They had prints.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they had prints, and you got a metal case. It was.
And I'm not saying that they did that, but that's like the only thing I can think of though.
And I bought 2 because there was 2 prints in 2 cases. Yeah. That's where it's ripe, guys. And then the resellers can get their nut as well. It doesn't make any sense to me if you're going to be there, if you're going to put money into it. Make something affordable. Anything in that $40 to even $80 range, depending on what you're getting, you'd buy. Yeah. Like the right thing, you'd buy. Mm-hmm. An Infinity Gauntlet box set that is the Gauntlet that opens up and it has all 22 or 21 films. It just drives me nuts, guys. There's money being left on the table. Kids, I think that's our show. We wanted to reminisce on the con. And it's bumming us out. Even though Big Tuna kind of hung up his cape a few years back, he still gets he's always letting us know movie news when he sees it and comic book news when he sees it. He got me a sweet deal because he saw a Disney sale, and I got this Spider-Man Lego set from the Disney store on a sweet discount. Thanks, brother. So, even though he's not part of it, he's still there in spirit. He texts us when we're there and all of those things.
I'm like the Barbara Gordon of the team.
Yeah, and we as fans, we need to...
I do just as much walking.
We need to guilt him into running the store so Papa can still go to the con, guys. So leave that in the comments, okay?
Buy one, get one.
No, God, no.
No.
Yeah. Hey, you guys lock up before you go, okay?
Yeah. Buy two, get one.
If you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button. Leave us a comment below. What are your con memories? Did any of you go to Torpedo Con? It looked awesome, and especially if you got Jim Lee. Although it bummed me out, everybody's like taking pictures of Jim Lee, and they all have their masks on. It's like, what is the point of this? Yeah. This is it's ridiculous.
It's like, did you see I was smiling?
Yeah. California. It's California. Eric, do you have any final thoughts for us? I'm sorry. We did the heavy lifting today, man. I apologize. I hope you enjoy the stories. Big Tuna, you have anything you'd like to add?
We're getting on the airplane to fly up to San Diego. And Dave, being Dave, doesn't check a bag, but instead brings the carry-on luggage. He's looking for a place to put it. And he moves this guy's instrument, who is wearing almost like a polka fedora with the little multicolor feather. Yeah. And it's like a mandolin or something, very small case.
He was going to the con.
So Dave moves it.
He was a minstrel.
In order to get his carry-on on. The flight attendants then take it out of the overhead bin and move it to the back of the plane. Now, after we land and stuff, and the idiots clap, what were you expecting to die? So everyone's unbuckling and stuff. And we're sitting towards the back, and he opens and he looks at it, and Dave and I are just kind of like this, and we're trying not to look, and he looks and he goes, "Who moved my instrument?" And he's looking around, but the thing is Dave's suitcase is still in the overhead bin. So it's like, is he gonna wait to see whose this is? Because he wasn't whose bag is that? I mean, but it was super awkward and tense. And then of course we land in San Diego. You walk across the little thing, you get in the line for the taxis, and he's right next to us. So that was one of my favorite non-related to the con memories.
Next time we talk about this, you got to tell the standing in the line at the buffet story.
Oh my gosh! That one terrifying.
That was actually my parting thought. Do it. No, I don't do this story justice. My only thought is be careful what you wear or say at Comic-Con.
Just tell it, dude.
Because you will meet a fan.
I was wearing a Power Ranger shirt at the breakfast buffet we went to.
Every year we go to the same breakfast buffet.
While I'm getting, and that's the same breakfast buffet we saw.
Joss Whedon,
and Hellboy creator.
Mike Mignola.
Yeah. Right. So I got the plate and everything, and this guy, and he was already at a table that was loud to begin with. So
loud for brunch.
Loud for brunch. Yeah. That is the whitest sounding phrase I've ever heard. Yes. Yeah. So we're saying, and this guy walks up and he's like, "Dude, you into Power Rangers, dude?" And I'm standing there with my oatmeal, and I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Dude, let me tell, dude, listen." And I'm like, "Oh man, this guy is gonna pull a knife or something." This guy is he is way too amped for 9:30 Pacific time. And he's like, "Dude," he's like, "Tell me the power, give me the first 3 Power Rangers, go." And I was like, does he mean the people? So I'm thinking, and I'm like, there's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and then they did it was Zeo, and then they did Turbo. And he's like, I knew it, and he sets his plate down. He made up a plate and then comes up to me. He said, and he's like, "Dude," he's like, "this is so crazy." And my shirt had the Black Ranger on it, and he's like, "You're not gonna play this." He takes out his phone, and I'm like, "Oh, thank God, it's a phone." And he's like, "You won't believe who I'm calling. You won't believe who I'm calling." And I'm like, "I'm gonna call somebody soon too." And lo and behold, he was attempting to reach because he had the cell phone number of the Black Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I think he left probably a very aggressive sounding voicemail. Mm-hmm. But it was super tense, and I'm like, at what point do I start eating my breakfast? Because we're standing there, we're not at a table or anything. Just people walking through. There's people pointing and looking, and so we go back to the table, and even he goes back, and I can still hear him. He's like, "That's my boy over there," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, super intense." It's actually the most awkward brunch, but the second most awkward buffet story of my life.
That sounds like that's a story for another show, kids. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. I have been your host, Roman Chavez.
I'm still Erik Icarus.
Dave, Jordan, thank you guys so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you on. And we'll have to talk again soon about a trailer that we saw. Guys, thank you guys for watching. I've been your host, Roman Chavez, Eric Wielden. We'll catch you on the next podcast.